Hello, I'm Candy on AfriChat, and today on this episode, I'm joined with political analyst Mr. Gilbert Alitia, and we are going to be talking about the rampant growing of uh, coup d'etat in western region of Africa. Thank you for joining Mr. Gilbert Alitia.
Thank you very much for hosting me, sir.
You're welcome. So, Mr. Gilbert Alitia, there is a rampant growing of coup d'etat in western region of Africa. For example, there was in Mali, there was in Burkina Faso, and of lately there is in Niger. Why do you think it is rampant and it is growing rapidly compared to other core regions of Africa?
Thank you very much for giving me this platform. Uh, as we can clearly see the indicators in West Africa, it shows you that there is a wind of change which is sweeping across the West African countries. This wind of change has involved countries like Equatorial Guinea, has involved countries like Mali, has involved countries like Burkina Faso. And these countries, the ones I'm mentioning, if you were to look at them, they have something in common. Most of them have been former colonial countries. They were in short, they were formerly colonized by the French. You get it. So this means that one of the reasons as to why there has been a rampant coup d'etats in that area is the post-colonial policies. The post-colonial policies when I talk about the post-colonial,
What is post-colonial policies?
yes, post-colonial policies are the policies that were stipulated by the French when they were preparing the country of Niger for independence. So those policies involved their education system, involved their way of civilization, their way of doing things. So those policies, after they had gone, after they had declared that Niger was fully independent by 1960, these policies, they continued here in Africa. Part of these policies is when they were able to leave their military men here. Because if you look at Niger, it hosts over 1,500 military men from the France. And it hosts over 1,000 military men from the United States of America. What are they doing there? These people are not there to protect the people of Niger. That's what you have to know. These people, they are there to protect their own interests. They are there to give accessibility to the people who are mining, to give them access to strategic raw materials of the country. Those raw materials include uranium, they include gold, they include diamond. So their existence there is to give them accessibility and to protect them to continue exploiting these raw materials at the expense of the people of Niger. That is one. There are like 3 or 4 factors, but we are going to, in the interest of time, we are going to discuss about the most important one and the most profound ones. And one of them is the post-colonial policies that we have just talked about. Secondly, is the existence of the Islamic insurgency, the Islamic extremists. These Islamic extremists, like the Boko Haram, like the ISIS, like the Al-Shabaab, they have also played a part in destabilizing these regions. So when they have brought these insecurities in these areas, the countries like Niger, countries like Burkina Faso, like Equatorial Guinea, they have not been able to copy with these insurgencies. So the people of Niger, they have said no, they need something which is more protective. The insecurity is too much high. How can they curb that insecurity? They say no, these insecurities, we have to get powerful leaders who are going to be able to overcome the insecurities of that country. That's the rising of the military juntas. That is also one of other factors that has contributed
Okay.
to these regions, since they're having something in common. They are all former colonies of the French. Thirdly, is the legitimacy. When they have gone for free and fair elections in terms of voting, the aspiring presidents, they have promised so much to their masses, which they have not been able to fulfill. So by so doing, the local citizens or the masses, they feel like they are this president, they have not been able to fulfill their promises as by, as they had put on their manifesto, on their campaigning manifesto. So these are some of the factors that have made this region to be under rampant coup d'etats.
So,
And for your own information, since 2020 to 2023, in a period of only three years, the Sahel region has had over seven coup d'etats. The one which happened, the one which happened and is still happening in Sudan, the one which is happened in Chad, the one which happened in Burkina Faso, the one which happened in Mali, the one which happened in Equatorial Guinea, and the one which is happening in Niger.
mm,
So this is clearly an indicator to show you that there is a wind of change which is spreading throughout Africa. Much as we were given our independence, but the independence we were given was not fully independence. Whatever is happening in this region of Africa is happening in different regions of Africa where there's the exploitation of raw materials.
so if I may ask,
Mhm.
how do you think these situations will be or can be resolved?
These situations can be resolved in various ways. The first way, it can be resolved through negotiation and diplomacy, whereby neighboring countries or an economic bloc like the West African Economic Bloc, the ECOWAS, for instance, it has now come in to resolve this issue. When the president of Nigeria, which is also a member of the ECOWAS, sent part of its envoys to go to Niger to try and negotiate with the juntas and to also have chance to talk to the former president, the ousted president, Mr. Bazoum Mohammed. Yes, but all these were not fruitful.
If I may go deeper on that issue, Nigeria cut off power from Niger. Is it one way of settling the or resolving
that was part of the economical sanctions, because the ECOWAS is not ready to cooperate with the juntas. So by so doing, they want to enforce the juntas to comply. How are they going to force the juntas to comply? They have to force the juntas to comply by putting economical sanctions. Part of it is when Nigeria cut off its power supply to Niger. Yet Nigeria is supplying over 70% of power to Niger. The other sanctions they have involved, they have frozen their parastatals. They have frozen their financial assets. They have put travel bans to the junta leaders. These are some of the ways that the ECOWAS, as an economical bloc, are trying to cap down and to resolve this issue.
But do you think sanctions that have been put on the juntas, is it going to let the juntas seize the situation, or it is just growing?
According to the look of things, the juntas are not ready to give up. They are not ready to give up, because if they were ready to give up, they would have given the envoy that was sent by the president of Nigeria, Tinubu, a platform to discuss with the former president. But they didn't, and Tinubu had to write to the economical bloc under the Defense Council that in case of the failure of these sanctions, they have to intervene militarily to enforce compliance, because the juntas, they are ready to comply. And to make matters
juntas
worse,
are ready?
they are not ready to
They are
comply.
not ready.
Yes, and to make matters worse, countries like Burkina Faso and Mali, they are ready to join in. They say that any military attack on Niger will mean a military attack on all of them, because they all have something in common.
So meaning that the Mali, Burkina Faso, they are ready to join the war, so that they can fight for
any military intervention in the affairs of Niger by any countries or the ECOWAS bloc. It means that Burkina Faso and Mali, they are ready to also intervene. They said a war, an attack on one of us means an attack on all of us. That is the principle that they are moving in.
So you want to tell us that, like you say, that the Burkina Faso and Mali, they are ready to intervene. Does that mean that the juntas of Mali, of Niger, does it mean that it led to their rebuff of the delegation from the bloc?
Yeah, because according to what happened in the Abuja summit, because the Abuja summit was held for 3 days. What happened in that Abuja summit? The juntas of Niger, they were given an ultimatum of 7 days. That ultimatum expired on Sunday. But after it expired, because they said once it expired, that means they had to involve militarily, they had to intervene in a military way to enforce compliance, whereby the juntas will be under pressure to restore or to reinstate the former president into power, and to also put the rule of law in order, which the pressure the juntas are not ready to comply with. They have been joined out by a lot of disgruntled masses who are supporting the juntas. They have justified the reason of the juntas because for over 60 years, the French have been exploiting resources. They have been exploiting strategic minerals, the diamond, gold, uranium, but they have left nothing. No economical development, no infrastructure development.
So, in conclusion, do you think there are countries that are benefiting in these situations?
Of course, there are countries which are benefiting. If America is not benefiting, why is its military in Niger? If the French are not benefiting, why is their military there? Their military is there, I told you, to oversee the mining activities and to give them access to strategic mineral resources. Because these resources are the ones that are feeding the nuclear plants in France. And for your own information, Niger is supplying over 15% of its uranium deposits or uranium oil to France.
As a political analyst, I need you to
make matters worse. Once they overexploit all these resources, they are only giving them back in terms of aid. Can you imagine? Someone takes what belongs to you and is giving it to you in terms of aid. Yet it belongs to you.
But do you hope will they remove their military from the country?
They are not willing to do that. You get it? But let me tell you, these junta countries, they have had a backup by the Wagner Group. That's why you see when they are celebrating, they are burning the French flag, their former colonies. They are burning it and they are raising up the Russian flag. What does that mean? That means that they are already fractions. So they are already fractions. And the European Union, which involves the France and what have you, they are not willing to lose these countries because once they lose these countries, that means their uranium or their deposits of uranium is going to go low. You get it? What will happen to their plants, their nuclear plants? So that's the reason why the countries like America, the countries like France, they are not ready to back up, because backing up means they have been chased away. They won't be able to exploit and continue mining these minerals, which has kept them in Africa for the last 60 years.
Why do you think these other regions of Africa
Mm.
not willing to intervene these coup d'etats?
What do you mean?
Why do you think these other regions they are not ready, or they don't want to go and help those Western countries, those that are in coup d'etat, to help them?
As I've told you, it's a wind of change. It is spreading. It is spreading throughout. It is spreading throughout the Sahel. This thing will continue happening in all parts of Africa. It's just a matter of time, because all this exploitation of these minerals is happening in each part of Africa. You get it? But for them, there are no these things because they haven't reached the climax. There are very many factors that are involved. Others, they are dictators who are trying to work along with the puppets. They are dictators who are present here, but they are puppets the West. So they work together with the West to continue exploiting the local people at the expense of the local people. So this will continue happening. I'm telling you, as I'm speaking this, Africa must have a proper independence. Africans must have a second independence, because we've been independent but not fully independent. There has been neo-colonialism. The existence and the presence of these colonial masters is still manifested much here on the continent of Africa, because the minerals are still there. Their industries are there. Imagine, the minerals are here with us. We are their source of raw materials. The industries are in their countries. So if they back off from Africa, that means they are going to lose a lot of jobs in the Europe. A lot of jobs will be lost.
So, if I may ask, when even concluding,
Mhm.
where do you see Africa, if at all these colonialists leave Africa for good and Africa remains as Africa? Where do you see it?
Africa is one of the richest continents in the world.
Say it in the camera.
Africa is not one of, but I think it's the richest continent in the world, because we are endowed with a lot of raw materials. We are endowed with a lot of resources. So these resources, if properly managed and properly used, my brother, Africa is so far away.
You have-
Africa will be so far away as long as there is proper management and exploitation of these mineral resources to benefit the people of Africa. But for as long as these minerals and exploitation of our minerals is benefiting the people of Europe, Africa, we shall continue being a dumping site.
I think we should conclude the interview. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you very much for hosting me.